Hey guys, before we get started, you know the deal. Hit like and subscribe. Follow us on that social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twix at Launchpad Pod on our website, launchpadpod.com. Check us out on YouTube. See our faces, see the clothes we're wearing. Matt's wearing, just a black t-shirt. Oh, hey, Launchpad. He's repping. He's repping. Is that the Kelly Jones one? All the other like cool art
Mm-hmm.
on the back, where we got
Yes,
all these
sir.
awesome artists to draw us. That's so cool. I'm wearing a Godzilla shirt from Famous Monsters of Filmland, the other podcast we did back in the day.
That was fun.
It was fun. Yeah, man. I just came off work hard. Oh boy, I'll tell you all about it. But let's get on with the show.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
All right, welcome to Launchpad Podcast. I'm Aaron.
Matt,
Matt, we barely made this episode happen.
this was a tough one. This was like we didn't have the wherewithal to prepare like a good a thorough topic. So we're like, oh, let's talk about movies we've watched. And Rumi's like, I haven't watched any movies. I've been working so much.
I've been
I'm a
working
busy
so
boy. And I said, that's
Oh,
okay. I watched some. I'll talk about it. And you just nod your head because you're pretty. And he said, okay. And
that's
then he was like, I got to work late. So we got to record later than normal. And I said, that's okay. I'll be here. And then he
I
keeps writing me, I'm a busy boy still. I'll
I'm
get you in
still
a
a
little
busy boy.
bit.
Yeah, I was a busy ass boy, man. It was crazy. Um, yeah, I've been working super hard. I'm still going to work tomorrow. We're working a 6-day week. Today was nuts, man. It was one of those days where they're like, this is the last day we have at this location. So we better fucking shoot every piece of this scene. And it was a massive thing. People were on fire. There was like just it was nuts. My boogers are all black from the smoke. Have you ever done a burn scene where there's just like fire everywhere? Your mic's off or something, man. I see your lips moving, but you ain't. What happened?
Yeah, we did. Can you hear me now?
Oh my gosh! It's like
We
we've
did a
never done
live
this before.
action. We did a live action Ghost Rider once. We lit a guy's head on fire. He had a Ghost Rider mask on. It was awesome. It worked, and it worked.
It's super cool, but like the room was on fire. Some of it's fake. Like
Yeah, I don't think I have a room on fire.
so like you have flame bars and stuff, but the flame bars burn things.
Yeah.
So like every time they turn it off, they have to like fire extinguishers come in, all that shit. But like the room was full of smoke and I'm like, I can feel it in my nose. I smell like a campfire. I'm going to take a shower after this. I literally drove from the location, which was an hour away, jumped in, jumped home, ran in, got some beverages, threw my shoes off, changed my shirt, hopped on this podcast for you guys and for you too, Rumi.
And everybody watching on YouTube is like, you couldn't have put your hair back or combed it because it's just
Luxurious is what they
the
call
best thing
that.
I could say is he looks like the lion from Wizard of Oz after
Wow.
after he gets the makeover and he's got all those curls. that's, that's that's what my boy looks like right now.
Wow.
Well, Rumi kind of tasked me with a couple of things. Like he was like, hey, let's tell me what you want to talk about. Let's see what you watched and we'll talk about it. Maybe he's watched it. And I watched an awesome movie that I was so excited to talk about with you, but I don't want to do it today because
Uh-oh.
I want you to watch this movie because it was one of those movies that like it's on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't it was German, so there's no one in it that we know, but it was one of those like German American things, so half of the cast is speaking German and it's dubbed, the other half is speaking English and may or may not be dubbed, but it's they're speaking English. Movie doesn't suffer for it all. It is one of those movies that I read the synopsis and I was like, that sounds cool. And I started watching it and then like the synopsis happened, and I was like, okay, you're delivering that. I'm fine. Then it was like, but also this, and you're like, oh damn, that's pretty cool. Then something else happened. You're like, whoa. And then there was a moment where something happened, and I was like, you're not gonna do that, are you? And then they fucking did that. So like, I kind of I kind of don't want to do that tonight as a what have you been watching, because I want you, Rumi, and everybody to watch it so that we can talk about it together. So it's not just me telling you how awesome it is.
Nobody can sell me on a movie like Ruby. Like I don't
Yeah, I
even
think that's
I
probably
don't even
true.
I don't know the name of the movie, but I'm like, wait, this happens, and then I think that's gonna happen, but then this happens. I'm
Yeah, you're
in.
gonna think it's gonna happen, but then this is gonna happen, and you're gonna be like, "Is he gonna?" And then he doesn't right away, but then he does later, and you're like, "Oh!"
What movie is this?
It is from 2021. It's called Blood Red Sky. Now, I read the synopsis, so I knew the gist of it, but I kind of want you to just start watching it and see what you think it's about as you watch it.
Okay, 2021's Blood Red Sky.
It's on Netflix. I saw the one I saw that when I watched it the other night, the thumbnail did not have a spoiler in it. Not a spoiler, but are you looking at pictures of it?
The poster that came up, it looks like snakes on a plane, but replace snakes with vampire. Is that even
It's
close?
fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Kind of. But I honestly like Snakes on a Plane was not trying to be a good movie. It was trying to be Snakes on a Plane. That's exactly what
I
it
need to
was.
stop seeing any pictures of this already.
Yeah,
No,
for
no, no,
sure.
no.
Just watch it. It's cool.
Because
It's not amazing. It's not going to knock your socks off, but it's going to be like that
Dude.
would be a movie that you and I would have been on the couch and been like, oh
High
no,
five.
Nip Tuck is canceled tonight. What are we going to do? Oh, what's
Yeah.
this Blood Red Sky? Let's try it. And we would have been high five and four, sure.
We did watch a lot of Nip Tuck, didn't we, Rumi? That was a fun show.
That was our soap opera.
Yeah, we watched a lot of that. I've been super disappointed with horror movie posters recently. Posters in general, but like giving away everything on the fucking poster. Like Abigail, did you watch Abigail?
No, but we talked about it,
Fucking
and you said
hurry
that
up and watch Abigail so we can talk about it. But yeah, the poster spoiled the movie.
Mhm.
You're like, well, I guess that's gonna happen.
That's
And
why I
like,
don't rush into trailers anymore, because trailers, like, they're showing you the biggest parts of the movie so that when you watch it, when you see the movie, you're just kind of watching filler and backstory. And you're like, I already saw that he stabs him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I know that from the get-go.
because you didn't watch the Alien Romulus trailer then.
No.
Fucking cool. I won't spoil it, but I will spoil the trailer. Can I do that?
Yeah.
Do you know in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the trailer, it's the sound of the photograph going.
Yeah.
Alien Romulus trailer was like, I will one up you. So throughout the trailer, you're seeing cool shit happening, space shit, cool teasery shit. They're like, yeah, but every now and then you hear this sound, and it is this gross, very visceral sound, like
Organic?
punching meat. And you're
Okay.
like, what is this?
Two xenomorphs going at it.
You two xenomorphs just pounding it out. No, but yeah, it leads up to all this crazy shit happening that's just alien boner inducing. So I could see why the xenomorphs would go at it. But then all of a sudden it cuts this woman. She's like, and you see her chest go, and she holds this light up to her back, and it goes, and you see the chest burster through her chest. And then it cuts to black as this thing's about to burst out.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So the whole time it's been a chest burster like cracking through somebody's ribs, and you're like, oh,
That's pretty rad.
Oh, I have been so hyped about this trailer. And again, my brother was like, I don't want to watch it. Does it spoil things? I'm like, fuck, it did show me who somebody's gonna die. It also showed this shot of this face hugger grabbing onto this guy's face. He's like, no, and the little face hugger's penis was like, like, going down in his mouth, and I was like, no, God, so gnarly. Yeah, just like so you saw this guy getting face hugged real hard in the mouth, and you were just like, oh my God, this movie's gonna be insane. Does not shy away from any of the gnarliness. That movie better deliver because that trailer. Oh, ooh. So like when you watch that movie and you're like, meh, that was fine. I'll be like, yeah, but go back and watch the trailer if you want to get excited. And you're like, oh, all right. Yeah.
Do you remember that? And maybe they still do it. I haven't seen one in a while, but there are a bunch of trailers that have alternate takes or alternate scenes or literal, like the opposite of a spoiler, like a mislead on purpose to fuck you up when you then watch the movie. Like the best one I could think of is 28 Weeks Later. Was that the sequel? 28 Weeks?
Yeah.
Jeremy Reiner Runer is like pushing their car that is stalled out and it starts up and they leave him in the like you're looking out the back window of the car as he has essentially sacrificed himself and he pushes the car away and you see that in the trailer and they just leave him in the distance. But in the actual movie, the city is like firebombed. And as you drive away from him, he just gets lit up, like the entire street just dissolves in flame. And I remember like in the movie, because I remember images like that. So I remember like in the movie, I was like, oh yeah, wait, what?
That happened recently where a man sued over the fact that an actress was in the trailer, but not in the movie. Oh my God. Was it like Knives Out, Glass Onion or something? What was it?
Do you know do you remember what the rest of the story was? Like, was it true? Did they do that on purpose? Was it a trick?
She got cut out of the movie and he's like false advertising. But then the court was like, that's not a big enough thing to like get money over.
Yeah, here's your $14 for your ticket, you fucking baby. I didn't know I didn't know they let babies into Knives Out anyway.
Anna de Armas was in the trailer, but not in the movie.
Oh, she's pretty hot, so I can understand why that little nerd was probably upset.
Two fans sued. Oh, and one of them did win. Okay, two plaintiffs who claimed the trailer for the movie Yesterday included a scene not in the final film are entitled to proceed with claims for violation of California's false advertising and unfair competition law against Universal Studios.
Does it say what they win?
I think they just win to get to proceed with the trial. I think there was like some sort of I object, Your Honor, injunction, and they were like, okay, well now we have to go around that. Like it's like a detour. It's like we have to go to this court, and this guy.
Can you imagine? Amanda just got a letter today, a summons for jury duty. But could you imagine getting a jury duty summons and going in and like, okay, in this case, the plaintiff is this fucking dildo who lives with his mom, and the defendant is Universal Studios, Glass Onion Pictures. This guy's upset because Anna de Armas was in the trailer but not in the movie. We have 12 witnesses to call for the prosecution. Or plaintiff. It's probably going to take about 4 weeks. Everyone's like, I'm missing work for this.
Yeah, I'd be like, he's guilty, and they're like, no, that's not the. I'm like, no, that man is wasting my time. Guilty. Send him to the electric chair. And they're like, sir, that's not how it works. I'd be like, off with his head.
That's
they're like,
justice.
we don't do that anymore.
I would say, I feel like the only way to get righteous justice is if Anna de Armas comes in here and is a witness. So if she comes in to testify, I think it's my duty as an American to be like in the front row of jurors. I'll be here.
I rest my case. They're like, sir, you're going to go to jail if you keep talking. And I'll be like, I would be the worst juror. Oh my God. Like I'd be like, actually, I'm having a psychic premonition. That man is guilty. And they're like, sir, that's the lawyer. I'm correct.
Look into that. Mistrial.
Mistrial.
He should not be representing that defendant.
Sir, I don't know about the rest of these guys, but you got a hung jury right here.
I was on
dong jokes.
I was on a jury like maybe, I don't know, 7 years ago or so. No,
Yeah,
it must
yeah.
have been 8 years ago, 9 years ago. I just got my credential like that weekend.
Oh God.
And it was this rather large guy went to a Food for Less. He went into the bathroom. There was too much water on the floor, and he slipped and fell in the water and hurt his back. And now he's had to have surgeries and this other stuff. And he was suing them for
Was
however
it
much he was
water or
suing.
was it piss?
He says he fell in front of the sink, and they show these pictures of the bathroom when it happened, that there's water on the floor. But here's like the thing, right? First of all, I'm like, ugh, I gotta be here. I'm taking this shit seriously. So like I was the best juror. I was so serious. The old lady next to me kept falling asleep. And I was like nudging her. And then eventually was like, I came home the first night that she did it, and I asked Amanda. I mean, I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. I was like, no, but I should tell somebody, right? Because like this is this guy's life. We're literally, he either wins money or doesn't win money, and his back might be hurt from this. Like, we're in charge of this. That's what this system is about. It's not about fucking falling asleep. Man, I was like, ugh. So after the second time it happened, I think I sent a note to I don't know, the jury supervisor or whatever, and she was like, okay, I'll let the judge know. I don't know that anything came of it, but
He's like,
then like
she's like, Judge, this man is a tattletale. This
yeah,
handsome red, he's a dauber. He's a real tattletale. And he was like, wow, don't let this guy be on any more juries. Have you had jury duty since then?
no.
Exactly. On your juror record, it's like fucking tattletale dauber. Get this guy out of here.
Dauber, is that a term?
That's an Australian term for tattletale. I learned it from
Oh,
the show Bluey.
I would not tattletale on any Australians for sure. Like, I don't know if that's racist, but um I it was we got back there, and it was one of those like we walked in there and into the jury room after. It was like 2 weeks of testimony and doctors and this and that. So like we walked back there, and like two or three of the people were just like, he's guilty, right? Or not guilty, but like he gets it, right? He doesn't get it. And then they were like, well, first thing you have to do is come up with who's the prime juror? What's that person called? A head juror.
Foreman.
And they were like, who wants to be the foreman? And nobody raised their hand. So like after 2 seconds, I was like, I'll be the foreman. Because I was like, I don't trust any of you. I don't think any of you are going to do it right. I'm going to do it. So I'll be the foreman. So okay, now I'm the foreman. Nobody gave a fuck. It wasn't like we voted. It wasn't like anybody was like, this guy seems like he's a good fellow. Like they were like, okay, you want it, you could do it. But then I mean, I had to like manage all these humans who are like, like some of them were interested. Some of them were like, okay, we have to do this. And some of them are just like, no, I don't want to do it the way everyone else is doing it. Rah.
But like, was this like a 12 Angry Men moment, or was it pretty quick?
I think we started deliberating one day, then we went home, and then we came back the next day, and then we were hung. And we were hung because there was like it wasn't charges, but whatever it is in a civil trial. And it was like the very first one says, like, it was something like to agree with the plaintiff, you had to agree that there was an excessive amount of water on the floor. You had to agree that he fell in it. You had to agree that it wasn't his fault, whatever it was. Looking at the picture, and like this is something that I eventually was like, let's take these charges, or these whatever, not charges, but point by point. And the first one was, is there an excessive amount of water on the floor? And half of us said yes, and the other half said no. And we were looking on the ground, and we were like, look at these pictures, listen to the testimony. What is an excessive amount of water in a men's floor bathroom? And there was a bunch of people that was like, that's not it.
Wait. Okay. The difference between a men's bathroom and a women's bathroom, right off the bat, huge difference. There's always some sort of liquid on the floor of a men's bathroom.
I totally. And the pictures that I saw, which were not great, I would not have blinked an eye. Like if you walk into the bathroom and you're like, whoa, when you got to take a rowboat over to the urinal.
Do you know what a four-banger is? If I say the word four-banger, it's called something different in every fucking state I go to. But a four-banger is a porta potty built into four on wheels, built into four of them. That's the traveling toilet that your crew uses. Twice today, I went to two separate
Bangers.
rooms of the banger and was like, oh God, is one of these toilets broken? There's so much liquid on the floor. Did somebody just literally just whoop piss off into the wall? Like, why is there so much liquid on the floor? There has to be a leak. Like twice I was very concerned by
Did
the
you tell
amount
somebody? You could have prevented a lawsuit.
I, I thought about slipping so I could sue.
I would have been on
No,
your jury.
I would have been covered in piss because I guarantee you that's what it was. I wasn't about to lie down in that shit.
This dude, whether he fell or not, which I don't know if he did. I couldn't tell you if he was faking it or if he was real. There wasn't like a shit ton of hard evidence as to what. But for me, I was just like, let's look at the charges one thing at a time. But raise your hand if that's an excessive amount of water. And we couldn't agree on that. And I was like, if we can't agree on that very first thing of 4, there's no way we can proceed because we need that no matter what. So we told the judge that we were hung. He was like, try again. And we tried a little bit more. And it was like, we can't get over the fact that 4 of us are like, that is a regular amount of water on the floor. I would not. So
what happens then? The guy doesn't get his money, or they go to a retrial?
So hung jury, it's almost like hung jury. The trial is over. It's canceled. Nobody wins. And at least in mine, the 2 lawyers, both for the food for less and for the guy, came in to the jury room and they were like, all right, tell us what worked and what didn't. Why were you hung? What felt like it worked? What felt like it
You
didn't?
got a debrief?
Oh, yeah, because I guess then they get to decide if they're going to do a retrial. And based on the retrial, they can figure out, okay, we got to, if these fuckers can't agree on what is too much water on the floor, we have to focus on that next time. Or it's not worth arguing,
We're going to bring in a water consultant from the water company. We're going to bring in 9 plumbers. I'm going to bring
a hydro oxygen water proportionate.
Dude, hey, are you guys going to talk about comic books or like scary movies?
Did you see?
No, dude.
Well, bring it back to entertainment. Did you see the Prime reality kind of gameish show called Jury Duty?
No, I heard it was funny.
It was a riot funny. Like, it was really funny. And without ruining the end, it turns into like if you guys are unfamiliar with the show, it's this random guy is selected for jury duty, and he is the only guy in the jury that's not an actor, in the courtroom, actually, that's not an actor. Everybody else is fake. Everybody else in the jury is fake, including James Marsden. And he's there as James Marsden. So he plays like a parody of himself and becomes friends with this guy. And the guy is just this hop along dude who's just happy to be there. And he's the nicest guy. But it kind of taints the show in this good way where they keep trying to fuck with this guy, but he keeps trying to do the right thing every single time. It is so fun. And then at the end, when he is finally let in on the joke of what it is, you'd think, and I didn't realize this till the last episode because in the last episode, they kind of build to it. But you would think if you were in this trial and all this weird shit happened to you and they tried to get your goat and they tried to get under your skin, like a couple characters were coming on to him, a couple characters were dicks to him, like all these different things. So he all these different things. There's a time where you could be like, hey, by the way, there's no such thing as Santa Claus and you're the only one that didn't know. There are certain people who could be upset about that and feel stupid. This show made it out in a much better way. So it wasn't like, haha, we knew this whole time. They made it out to be like, dude, we put you through these trials and you fucking nailed it. So it's like a really uplifting ending, really. It is. And then they kind of do like a debrief with him on camera too. So he's like, wait a minute. So when that thing happened and they're like, yeah, there were cameras in the mirror and it's now I want to like rewatch it because it was actually pretty funny.
Okay, I'll give that a shot. I did watch something. I watched a documentary called The Contestant.
Is that the naked guy?
Yes.
Yeah, obviously you watched it. You were like, I've seen Saltburn too many times.
Yeah, this is the Saltburn. No, it's called The Contestant. And it's in 1998. Nobody in America knew this was fucking happening. You didn't know this was going on. 1998, a Japanese man gets selected to be on basically an early form of reality television. Maybe the earliest form of reality television. They lock him in a room a tiny little room with like a table, a pen, and a bunch of paper. They take his clothes, so he's naked. And when they aired the show, they hid his junk with an eggplant emoji. And that's where that came from. Like it wasn't the eggplant emoji. They had a drawn eggplant. That became the emoji. His name, his nickname was Nasubi, which means eggplant, which is why they use that to cover up his junk. But that became the eggplant emoji, which we all use when we're texting, like, "Hey, you want an eggplant emoji picture or something?" As we do. So he was
As
trapped.
you do. Why you select dick so much? Sorry, eggplants.
Eggplants. So this dude is like trapped in this room, and the only thing he can survive on is him winning things from the back of magazines. So all day he sends out hundreds of these like submissions and survives off this crap. And he gets like pillows and clothes, and sometimes he gets like kimchi or like rice. And he does this for like a year.
Yeah, it was like a full year, right?
And over a year. It is horrifying. And everybody watched and laughed at him, and he's like a deranged animal man. And then they're like, "Hey, you did it." And he's like, "Oh, great." And they're like, "Hey, you want some, like for a prize, we'll take you to an amusement park." He's like, "Okay." And he's like, "I get to ride a roller coaster." And they're like, "Yay." And they're like, "Hey, here's a big jar of kimchi." And he's like, "Cool." And they're like, "Hey, all right, we got one more thing to do." And then they take him in this room, and then they go, "Give me your clothes." And he's like, "What?" And like, "It's starting over." He's like, "What?" And they take his clothes, and he does it for another year
What?
because he's broken. He was broken as a man. He was like the stuff he's writing about. He's like, I'm just dead. I'm dead inside. I'm in hell. This is what hell is. Like he was broken as a human. It's terrifying. And then when he then after so then he's like, I think I've won again. I think I've done it. I've achieved my goal twice. And so then they're like, okay, we have to end it. So then they bring him naked, and then they bring him into this tiny room, and they're like, okay, we're starting over again. He's like, well, this is my life now. But and he starts writing the thing, and the room falls open, and he's in a studio, and everybody's losing their mind, and he's just like, just this terrified naked man. And everybody's like, you're a celebrity. They've been selling books of your journals. Everyone's been watching you. You're famous as shit. This is like a sci-fi nightmare. This is some old boy shit.
It's Old Boy I thought of, and I also thought of like a Black Mirror episode.
100%.
Right.
But this was real life. Terrifying. It was so disturbing. But that guy stayed positive, and afterwards, to like affect change in his community and with his neighbors, he raised money for charity and to climb Mount Everest. And he started climbing Mount Everest, and the avalanche hit, and he rescued a bunch of people who trapped in the avalanche, but couldn't climb to the top. So he blew his chance. He comes home. His town raises the money. Like the community raises the money to send him back up the mountain, and he makes it all the way to the top. And it's like
naked the whole time.
You wish.
I also like the idea that like he had to raise two separate sets of money to climb a mountain. Like, number one, are they charging to climb up there? Or like, what does he need money for? They got like merchandise at the top that he's got to buy.
In the 90s, it costs over $300,000 to climb up the top of Mount Everest.
That's an overpriced mountain.
I know, right?
The price of mountains has always been.
It's a rich man's game, Rumi.
Yeah, there's a big markup on mountains. That's a crazy story. I just knew that it was about a dude naked in a box for a while. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know about the avalanche, and wow, that's pretty cool.
It's actually a really good doc. I was jaw open, ready for eggplants.
Can you imagine if you were buried by? Can you imagine if you were like buried in an avalanche, and you're like, "This is the end for me. I shouldn't have spent $300,000 to do this." And then you start to see like your dead grandfather comes and it's like, don't worry, Matt, come to the light. It'll be fun. And like all these angels are like, don't worry about it. You didn't fail your climb. You're climbing to heaven. And then all of a sudden, the guy from this naked Japanese reality show is like, give me your hand. You're like, man, I am hallucinating.
But also, here's the other thing that they sort of tell you, but don't really tell you. When you climb Mount Everest, it's so hard to carry things in and out. The whole mountain's covered with garbage. All the oxygen tanks are just tossed to the side. Everything that's junk, it's just covered in garbage. You know what else it's covered in? Fucking corpses, because they can't bring the bodies back down. So everywhere you look, bodies, garbage. It's like walking down the streets of like New York in the 70s, man. Like what
See,
the
now,
fuck?
I don't see how that could be true because I know the shape of mountain is a triangle. And if you try to put anything on a triangle, it just rolls to the bottom. So whether it was an oxygen bottle or a corpse, it's gonna bum 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 bum. Now, if you told me that like a corpse rolled to the bottom Willow style or Mad Mardigan style, and it was a giant ball,
It kept gaining mass as he went.
yeah,
But can you imagine every time you walk past this, you're like $300,000, $600,000.
yeah,
Holy shit!
yeah.
This is like so
It's over
much
$4
money
million
wasted.
worth of dead people.
But like, here's the other thing. Everybody knows that like to get you up a mountain, you need Sherpas who are indigenous people who are good at who are much better climbing mountains than your dumbass, and they drag your ass up that mountain. Like,
That's where your 300,000's going.
right? It's like all these, like, it's always so funny to me when it's like, you know, you're watching the IMAX video and some white guy's like, I've made it to the top of this fucking mountain. I'm the tallest man in the world. And his Sherpas are like, yeah, I did this like 6 times this week. So you go, white guy.
Then on the
Good
way
for
down,
you.
they're passing those corpses and they're like, skimped on the Sherpas. Skimped on the Sherpas.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, those are the heroes. They're not in the books.
Also, I would just get a refillable oxygen tank. Duh.
Duh. Just hold it up in the air. Just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Just open. You breathe it all out. Then you open it up, hold it up. Like during a wind.
Matt's joking. He's laughing.
Every
so
time
much.
there's wind, you just hold that shit sideways, catch some of the wind, and you're done. It's not that hard, guys. You don't have to be naked in a cube for 2 years to climb this mountain, you guys.
Mountain climbing is one of those things. Like, I get it. Like, views are cool and views are impeccable, but like that, like desire, like I must climb this biggest mountain. It's like that sounds like that's not my jam. So sorry.
I get it, but I'm so full of hubris that I'm like, I bet I could if I wanted to.
I'm
so
sure
I don't need
you
to prove
could.
it.
I've
I don't
seen
need
you.
to prove it to
I've
myself.
seen you climb one tree, cross over to another tree, climb back down. 2 trees in one climb, man. It was amazing.
That's right.
Can I get back to courtroom drama?
You can, and I'll get back to reality TV. But yeah, go ahead.
So currently I live in Denham, Massachusetts. It looks like it's
The
spelled dead.
birthplace of the gene.
Really?
Denim? Yeah.
I get that joke now. It looks like it's spelled Deadham though, and we're really close to
The
a town.
birthplace of non-living pigs.
We're really close to a town called Needham, and I'm like, that's me. I need ham.
What's in the like? What's between dead and need?
Cooked ham. I need ham. I cook ham. The ham's dead. It's dead ham. And then up the street, there's poop ham. So I'm in Denham, Massachusetts. Dedham. I don't know. They pronounce everything dumb out here. Worcester. Anyway, there's a courthouse here. And the trial of the fucking century is happening right up the street. And every morning I'm stuck in the damn traffic of all these protesters and like news vehicles. And this is the Karen Reed trial. Have you heard about
Amanda's
this?
like all about that. She just told me about it the other day, so I know what it is. But
Oh my God. So here's how I understand it. The only thing I know about it is from eavesdropping and overhearing about it in restaurants in Denham, Massachusetts, and all around town. Hearing our transpo guys talk about it, they're like, "Oh, she's definitely guilty, guy." That was the worst Boston
yeah, I was like,
accent you
Jesus
heard.
Christ, that was like a flaming ghost or something.
You shuck them, I slurp them. That's the way these guys sound to me. Anyway, so this woman, the prosecution says you've been arrested. You and your boyfriend had a fight. He was walking home. You were drunk. You got in a car and you hit him with your car, and he died in a snowbank. That's the prosecution's side of the story. The defense's side of the story is he was drugged down into the basement by other police officers, attacked by a dog, beaten up, and thrown out into the snow where he died. Look at the defensive wounds from an animal attack on his arms. Like, the defense is going like Wookiee defense straight from South Park. They are going batshit crazy. But the thing is, to the public, they're winning. Outside of the courthouse, there's all these people holding up signs, being like, "Free Karen Reed, the conspiracy, the cover up." How is the prosecution? Do you fight batshit crazy conspiracy theory? And they're just going full bore. Here are the things that are going on. There's a clone dog involved in this court case.
You said cloned?
A clone dog? Yeah. They're like, the clone dog could have attacked him. And they're like, the clone dog hasn't lived in our house since 2022. And they're like, "Oh, where did it go?" Like, one of the big key pieces that people keep saying is, how long does it take to die in the snow? Apparently she Googled this and then deleted that Google search. And everybody's like, "Oh, see, she did it. She did that because she knew that he was in the snow." I was like, she and him had an argument at a bar. He was supposedly supposed to walk home. He didn't make it home. And she went, "Oh shit, my husband's been out in the snow."
Right.
How long does it take to die in the snow? That's the first thing I'd Google too.
Yeah,
Also,
I agree.
don't check my Googles because all the shit that I Google is weird and for
There's
like,
worse crimes in that search history than dying in the snow.
oh my God, I work on a zombie show. I'm like, how many pounds of pressure does it take to pierce a skull? Turns out it's 36. 8 pounds to rip off your earlobe, 500 pounds to crush your skull completely. That's the shit I Google.
Dude, you know you're fucked if Kate's head gets crushed or earlobe gets ripped off, right?
I know, right? My Google searches are morbid and terrifying. They're like, research for a script. I'm like, what can a defibrillator be used to create a bomb? I literally typed that up this week. That's in my Google search.
Don't look at another man's portal history.
But this trial has been like captivating everybody. And I hear like heavy Boston accented transpo men arguing about it. And I'm
What
just
do they
like,
sound like again?
"You shuck them, I slurp them."
Yep. All right, it brings back my old college days.
I can't do a Boston accent to save my fucking
No,
soul.
really?
Can you do one?
I think better than you. I mean, there's always the park the car, yeah.
Park the car in Harvard Yard. To that context, as a gift, as a every, like, when you work hard, they bring food trucks out to you. They keep you plied with food. And once these two dudes showed up with a giant boat of ice, and just all night they're just shucking oysters, and you could just literally walk one up and suck it up. And this transpo guy was like waddled over there, and he was like, "Oh man, I love these things. You shuck them, I slurp them." He's like, "Normally I only eat like 6 or 7 of them. I've had about 20." Just like, fucking cartoon character.
Like, are you a real dude?
Yeah, yeah. Like you couldn't draw this human being. Like, like if I drew
Like,
a picture of this person, they'd be like, Matt Groening, come on. Like, like
like it was like his responsibility to think. If I walk over there and say this, people are going to doubt reality. Like, people are not going to think that this is for real.
you, you know what a Boston Terrier looks like?
Terrier?
A Boston
Yeah.
Terrier. Yeah, put that head on a like a 350-pound man.
He's looking at himself. He's listening right now, and he just looked over in the mirror and he was like, I guess I do see it.
I'm gonna get in his van in a week, and he's gonna be listening to this episode.
Yeah.
And be like, "Is that what you think of me?"
Very funny visual effects guy.
I'm sorry, bro. I don't know.
Then you're going to freeze to death, and his search bar is going to have nothing in it. His search bar is going to have how to suck an oyster.
Yeah, best mignonette recipes.
How do you- Boston Terrier plastic surgery. The jury's going to be like, what?
How do I get them fucking eyes fixed, man? Oh my god. Oh yeah. So yeah, how long does it take to die in the snow? Yeah, the Karen Reed trial has taken over all of Massachusetts. It's pretty wild.
Well, the one thing that I actually did want to talk about, because I didn't want to ruin that Blood Sky thing, but I realized I saw a pretty interesting, not doc, but it calls itself a doc, but a true crime movie
Yeah.
that more fanfare than substance, but it was called What Jennifer Did on Netflix. Did you see that?
Is that about the one who the dancer in the cult?
No, that's a different one. That's called Dancing with the Devil, I think. Amanda just told me about that. I was like, I didn't even know that was like, she's like, the people that dance on Instagram? I was like, no, I don't know about Instagram. What the fuck is Instagram?
It wasn't even Instagram, dog. It was TikTok.
I don't know any more about TikTok than I do Instagram. Like, get the fuck out of it. I know it's like little videos and little idiots dance, but I guess I did know it was dancing, but I didn't realize it was people dancing for a cult. But anyway.
Okay, so true crime. What Jennifer did. The picture.
It's called What Jennifer Did, and I thought we had seen it. Like, Amanda and I watch a lot of Dateline, so I thought we had seen the episode on Dateline. She says we didn't, which is probably the truth. But anyway, it's called What Jennifer Did, so right away it's implying that she did something, right? It's a Vietnamese family. Jennifer is in her mid to late 20s. She lives with her parents, and one night, and there's a 911 phone call. 3 assailants break into her house, tie her up with her hands behind her back against the banister upstairs, and end up shooting her parents, murder her mother, and her father is shot through the eye, I think, but survives. So she, is alive. They leave her alive. They have, as the story goes on, they start to explain what happened, right? And they start to do interviews. They do see some ring cam footage from across the street, and you can see 3 guys go in, and a little later, like a half hour later, 1 guy comes out, and then 2 guys come out right away, like almost right after each other, and they're running. Her story is that she was sleeping. She heard someone come in. She heard her parents yelling. Some guy came in, grabbed her, said, I'm going to tie you up to this banister. Don't fuck around and everything will be okay. She says that she's upstairs and her mom keeps saying, we don't have any money. We don't have any money. And she hears the assailants say, show us where the money is. No one will get hurt. Then she says she hears one of the assailants say something to the effect of, you lied to us, or you didn't tell us the truth. And then she hears a bunch of pops. And while she's hearing pops, she hears her parents scream, individually, and then stop screaming. And then the guys run out. They leave her alive. She is able to make a 911 call during that. And you can hear the dad yelling in the background.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. You don't really hear much, but you hear it. So the police come, They take the dad, they airlift him to the hospital, and it's shaky on whether or not he's going to live. He's in a medical induced coma. There's nothing that they can figure out why they would be targeted. They're not especially rich. They don't seem to have grudges with anybody, blah, blah, blah. Like that doesn't make sense. So now the entire town is all scared that there's a random home invasion that turned into a murder gone, whatever. So they're trying to figure out what the fuck this is. So the whole town is scared. They can't figure out who these assailants are or why they'd target them. So they keep interviewing her. So the doc has a lot of 911 footage. It has interviews with family friends, and then it has a lot of interview room footage. So they interview her, and she kind of gives the story that I just gave. And she's like, I don't know why they would target us. We don't have a feud with anybody, blah, blah, blah. And she explains, my hands were tied behind my back. And at one point they have her demonstrate. They were like, if your hands were behind your back, how did you make a 911 call? And she says how she did it. She says, my hands were behind my back. I was able to slide my phone out of my waistband and dial it. And the guy was like, can you do it right now? Stand up and show me what that would look like. And she does it. And it's not a nail in the coffin type of thing, but you look at it and you're like, okay, I guess that could be happening. As they're talking to her, they start to figure some shit out. She admits to them that she faked going to grad school or college for 4 years. So she lied to her parents. Her parents, it starts to come out, her parents were super overbearing, super controlling. So she didn't get into a school and lied about it. So the interviewer, not the interviewer, the detective who was working during that interview in the present day footage, he looks at Cameron and is like, are you shitting me? She just admitted that she just lied for 4 years. So they're like, where did you go? What were you doing? Turns out she happened to be dating a drug dealer at one point. Doesn't seem like anything serious, but then he says that he was receiving sketchy calls, phone calls hanging up, random text messages from a random, unknown number saying, we're going to get you, stuff like that. And that guy says that the girl was also getting it. The girl didn't mention that to the police when her parents were murdered. So they're starting to be like, wait a minute, there's more going on here than meets the eye. They start to see some of the stuff doesn't line up. Eventually, the dad wakes up and the dad says, you got to look at Jennifer. You got to figure out what Jennifer did. And he says that the dad remembers seeing Jennifer walk down the stairs, talking casually with one of the assailants, walk into the kitchen and get food. Like he says he saw that. So I think then I'm sure there's one or two pieces of smaller evidence that I'm not, that I'm forgetting that don't make sense and don't add up. But she literally, she made fake diplomas. She was technically embezzling money from her parents. Her parents were super protective. It turns out she was crazy in love with this drug dealer guy who her parents did not approve of and told her she cannot see him. So you start to see all this evidence of blah, blah, blah. And then it turns out at one point the mom said, wait a minute, they found out that she wasn't going to school. And they were like, where did that money go? You got to give that money back. So instead of that, it turns out they find her phone, right?
Yeah.
They start to look at texts from homeboy, very easily tracked of is tonight the night we do the thing, and it's very much clearly you're talking about that.
It's tonight the night we do the thing. Parent emoji, water gun emoji.
Correct. Yeah. It was almost that blatant and stupid. Dude, you know what I mean?
My mouth is just in my lap, wide open, ready for eggplants. This is crazy, man.
Well, the interesting thing is, and the documentary is a 90-minute doc, and then it ends with just a title card saying that she went to trial and got life. So you don't see any of the trial, but because I guess it was probably so cut and dry. But the thing is, when you watch her interviews and you listen to the phone calls, she's extremely convincing. And everything she's saying, the story that she said, makes sense. And there's not anything wrong in the story. But then when you start to look, I don't know how you get away with shit with cell phones anymore. Ring cams,
No. This is why we don't have footage of aliens. You can't get away with anything. Your phone will give you the fuck up. There was a
Right?
fucking astronaut went and shot her ex-husband, wore a diaper in the car so she could go do it. You know what gave her away? Her fucking credit cards because she had to get gas.
Correct.
Like,
And it's like, and that's the
holy
thing is like me and
shit.
Amanda watch all these Dateline things, and some of these people plan like crazy, and you're like, damn, that's a pretty good plan. But then they fucking buy the rope and the gun and the everything with their
the
credit
guy
card at
they
a
can't
Walmart.
catch. Yeah, the person who plans the most gets caught immediately. The guy who wears tinfoil on his head and is just like, yeah, the dog talked to me, gets away with it for years.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, right? But it's like
Dude,
she just had such a good story, and she was so convincing. Again, I guess it's
here's
like
the
prejudice,
weirdest
right?
thing about this. I'm looking at the pictures from this doc. How many fingers does she have?
So here's the thing, and I was going to get to that. So I know that you guys think we just sling dick pizzas around, but Rumi and I actually do some research on some of the stuff that we talk about. So I looked at this doc. I wanted to read a little bit more about it, see what people are saying. And if you Google it, her name is Jennifer Pan. Her mom is Bichha, Beach Ha, and her dad's name was Han Pan. I Googled it to like kind of look about it. And the first couple things I see right away are about AI controversy. And actually that rang a bell. And I was like, wait, what was AI controversy about this? And I start to read it. And from what I've read 3 or 4 articles. From what I've read, there are accusations that AI was used to audibly enhance some of the video and interview stuff, and that some of the pictures may have been AI.
Oh,
Now,
they're definitely AI. She doesn't have enough fingers.
if you Google it, it does like I can very much see I could definitely see the argument for that. I don't care, but I can see the argument for that. The last article I read right before we started recording today, one of the EPs, executive producers of that documentary, said we did not use AI. Artists and filmmakers use Photoshop and stuff like that for different images. We used an anonymous thing to blur out the background, so anything in the background is blurred or weird because of that, but anything in the foreground, including her, is the actual picture the way it was. Now, the people, if you Google these, there's 2 main images. There's one where she's kind of showing peace signs and she's like in front of some, like an entertainment center. Her hands look a little bit melted and morphed. There's things up above her head that look weird. And then there's another picture that's
100% AI.
It very much looks like that, but I don't understand why that would be the case. That's like why you would use AI. But the other picture is her smiling, and her teeth are fucked. It looks like they took 30 different teeth from 30 different women and jammed them in there.
That's an AI problem. So they ran a real picture into AI and they either said upscale it, up-res it. Like the only picture they had was from like a Nokia flip phone from the 90s.
Got it.
And they were like up-res it. And then somebody just like traced her hand out and then said, make me a hand. And it's like good enough that even a producer's like, I don't know. And the producer's like, wait, did you use AI? And the artist was like, oh, fuck.
No.
Because like at this point, what are you going to fire me?
So here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
It seems like, and I read multiple articles. This wasn't just one person's opinion, but I read multiple articles that said the main areas that people are concerned about are these pictures. Yep. And the interview recordings where and the 911 phone call where her audio, her hand ostensibly was down at her hip pointing the phone up because she was tied up, so she was talking down, she said. You can hear it pretty good in the doc, and they're saying that maybe AI was used to buffer that and make that a little bit more clear, same as the images. The thing is, I could give a fuck about that. I know that AI is a dangerous can of worms. I get that.
Yeah, it's going to kill us all. Yeah,
but,
fuck yeah.
Well, check this out.
Oh, T800. Yeah.
I got a Terminator Lego here.
Every time where our route is to work right now, every night I drive past Boston Dynamics and every night I wave and the little robots are in the window waving back at me. I see them and they're like waving. They're like,
I like to think that they like
"Hi,
put down machetes and phasma pistols and then look out at you and wave. Like
hi."
I don't think he saw it.
Yeah.
But like the thing that all of these articles and
They
all of
take
these
their foam
writers,
swords and just drop them to the side really quick.
I was thinking about that the other day. Rumi and I used to like battle with foam swords in the middle of the night in the
It was
street in a
cool.
parking lot. It
It
was cool.
sounds
Yeah,
sturdy,
girls
but it
gathered
was
around.
super cool.
Um, remember I made a mace and you were like, "You're not allowed to use that."
I
I made
said
a mace with little bumps all over it.
with bumps, yeah. It's not that
Yeah.
you weren't allowed to use it. You weren't allowed to use it until we figured out how to build better armor.
Shields, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the thing that I read back to what Jennifer did, the thing that I read about these things about the AI was everyone was saying the main thing that they were pissed about was that the documentary didn't say it didn't disclose that they had used AI for those things.
Yeah, if
And
you're
I
going to
guess
show images, you need to say like whether
right,
it's
which I guess makes
like
sense.
if you show video and you're like this is a recreation, they tell you if it's a
Right,
recreation. If this isn't an accurate picture for a documentary, you
right.
need to be forthcoming with that, especially if it's not only not forthcoming, but not a recreation. It's even weirder. It's fucking generated out of thin air from a
Yeah,
robot
it's
brain.
I can understand why it's weird, but like it doesn't bother me and I'm not crying about it, but these writers were very
Yeah.
upset about it. I
Um,
mean, I guess I can
I
understand again, slippery slope, but
I work a lot with AI. I use
all
it.
those texts, I thought you were saying that you were working with Al.
Yeah, me and Al, we're tight. He actually programs the AI, so it's kind of both. I mean, I guess I'm not lying. It's Al works on the anyway. Yeah, this is straight up AI. This is like you just look at it and you're like, yeah, those fingers don't work unless she's got like a finger in between her pointer and her like unless
Yeah,
she's I don't know, it doesn't
I
work
mean,
like
yeah, I
that.
don't know much about it. So I mean, it's certainly the silly AI fails that I've seen.
Yeah.
This definitely looks like one of those. I can see the accusations of that,
I
but
mean, it's 100 fucking %. Yeah, their
it's
producers
interesting.
are
It's
silly.
interesting.
I don't know. Like it's one of those things like you have like here's the worst part. And like we were talking about the other night, Late Night with the Devil, and that had
Hmm.
some AI controversy because for like an interstitial card of like, we'll be back, technical difficulties, there's
Hmm.
a skeleton that was made with AI. You hired a person who made that,
Right, right.
and that person cut the corner and used AI and then didn't fix it. Like, if you're gonna do that, repair the skeleton, like repaint the skeleton, do the Photoshop. Like, if it's like one of those things like, oh, AI is supposed to save you time. Yeah, but if it saved you all that fucking time, fix the fucking picture.
Is that
Oh,
like plagiarism? Like if you wrote a paper and I just handed in your paper, it's clear that
yeah,
I gave in
yeah.
your paper.
I
What you're
saved
supposed to
you.
do is take your paper and reword it so that it looks like my paper. Is that the same thing?
It's like double plagiarism because the AI looked all across the internet, stole all that shit, made an amalgamation Frankenstein version of it, and then handed it back to you. And you went, handed it in. And I
Yeah.
like, that's the thing that pisses me off. So I'm going to go a short AI rant. You remember Cliff Notes?
Yeah.
Was Cliff Notes research or cheating?
Are you asking me or my English
Yes.
teacher?
Yeah, for you.
I mean,
But
for sure, it was cheating. It was a way to not read the book.
yes, AI is cheating. It's cutting corners. To that end, it's not going away. Genie's out of the bottle. So you have to have an ethos about it. And if your ethos is never, that's plagiarism. I don't respect that. I don't like that. That's fine. You have an ethos. But if somebody's like, I'm just going to take what the computer spit out and turn it directly in, I have no respect for that either. But if you
Hmm.
take it and you're like, the same way if I was going to cut out a bunch of pictures from a magazine and turn it into a collage or Photoshop it together or download Shutterstock images and reuse those with Photoshop, you're still putting in work to make it different enough.
Hmm.
To me, there's a middle ground where it is an interesting tool, but there needs to be an ethos about it, and we live in a time where nobody has ethics about anything, so it's kind of fucked.
Speaking of which, do we have to record an episode next week, or can we just get AI to record robot versions of us?
Yeah. If they
Type in
listen,
handsome boys talking about dildos on
Matt,
pizzas.
yes. Do you know how many hours you need for AI to take your voice and do whatever the fuck it wants with it?
1.
10.
Oh, okay. So we got to do 10 episodes, and then AI can.
We've
take
done
our voices?
280
Yeah.
episodes, bro. We've done over.
So why are we doing any more? AI should just be doing it for us. Then
we literally, we could download a program. It's a little expensive because, of course, it's a subscription. And you could subscribe to that, plug 10 hours of our voices in, and then be like, hey, this episode's about this. And it would spit out some garbage, and then we could turn it directly in.
But I wanted to do the thing in every movie where they make a joke out of compiling archived audio clips from different things. So it's like, hello, Launchpad. On today's episode, we are going to talk about dicks on pizzas.
I mean, it can be done.
I just watched the new Godzilla movie. Rumi, did you also see this movie?
It made me blast off in my pants.
One gorilla picked up another gorilla and hit 2 other gorillas. Okay, here's what we need to do. All right, I'll tell all of you because we haven't done it yet. Rumi and I keep having this idea to do a April Fool's episode where we don't do a Launchpad podcast episode. We do something else that makes you think that you tuned into something different.
Welcome to Pizza Talk. You were talking about pies. Yeah.
We have so many good ideas. We should do a Launchpad podcast AI episode, but it's us pretending to be AI.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to do it, at least mine, in the voice that I just did, because that shit would be hysterical.
Oh, it's going to take all our jobs. Anyway.
And then one gorilla picked up another gorilla and hit 2 other gorillas. I would listen to an episode of that. Like, I really would.
Oh my God, dude. Somewhere, the Boston Dynamic robots that waved at me, they're listening to the podcast and they're like, these idiots don't know we're coming for their jobs.
Yeah. Push up the robot apocalypse by 2 weeks. I can't stand to listen to these dildos. There's too much. There's too much content from these dildos.
These dildos named Aaron and Matt.
Once we understand what a dick pizza is, well, once we understand why humans like dick pizzas, we will be able to.
My favorite joke, one of my favorite bits in the movie Harold and Kumar's like Christmas adventure, 3D Christmas adventure, Wafflebot. Hello, Kumar. It can't say his name right. It'd be like, hello, Matt, and hello, Aaron. Like, ugh. Every time Wafflebot says his name, he's like, ugh. Oh my God, I die. I love that movie. Todd, the director, Todd Strauss-Slouchen, was on our show, remember?
Yeah.
Love Letters. He did that.
Oh, director of Harold and Kumar?
Yeah, I totally butchered his last name. Apologies, Todd. We liked you on the show.
Sorry, Todd.
I'll need a robot to help me. Such a good joke.
Oh, God. I have a headache now. This is awesome.
I don't know if the headache is from me inhaling burning fumes of church pews or from fucking laughing so hard.
It's from your hair. That's what it's from. I'm telling you.
What's
Get a
wrong
regular
with my hair?
big boy haircut Not that I should talk about hair, though. It's looking pretty good tonight.
You look like a 90s butthead.
Like a jerk or like 90s
Yeah, just like
Beavis and Butthead?
some kid who like got a little bowl cut going on, you know.
All right.
JTT had your hair back in the 90s.
Yeah, how handsome was he?
And look what
Guys,
happened to him.
forget usually at the end of the episode, we're like, tell us what you think about robots or AI, or tell us what you think about Jennifer. Forget that. Tell us who has better hair right now. Look at mine. Just right now. Don't go on history. Just literally look at Rumi's. Look at mine.
Mm.
And
Mm.
can you take a picture of our hair and put it on the promo for when you do the promo hair? The promo pictures, so that when we put that out there, anyone that's not watching the YouTube could be like, oh, okay, let me look at their stupid picture.
Post fucking sexy, bro.
That's all I do.
Okay. Screen grab. Grabbed.
For those of you who don't have YouTube, I took my shirt off and put my leg up on the desk.
I did my best Nasubi impression.
I think this is a fun episode for something that like literally all day I was like, what am I going to talk about? I really don't want to.
Dude, wait, this was so off the cuff. They're like, man, they
I
went
literally
deep.
don't want to talk about the one thing that I can and should talk about.
We
but I didn't want to.
we went deep into true crime. We had some courtroom drama. This was a very different episode, and I was pleasantly surprised. This is what makes our like so many times when we get like any sort of commercial feedback about our podcast, so like your podcast would do better if you stuck to a topic or a genre.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, but that's not fun. I want to talk about whatever the fuck I want with one of my best friends ever, and I want to laugh. And if we're laughing, someone else is laughing. Garen goddamn T it. And that's what makes this podcast fun. So fuck them.
That guy right now is like, I'm not listening to this anymore.
I
I have all the AI voices that I need to make my own better version of the launch. That would be awesome if we had an evil listener who made a Bizarro Launchpad podcast, like the Launchpad podcast too.
Oh my God.
The Launchpad Lodbast.
The Launchpad podcast trademark accepted.
Yeah.
Guys, we've been fighting this trademark war for a year. And I think we're just about 30 days out, right? We have to have been. It came out in May.
Yeah, I think so.
Very soon. Anyway, I applied for a trademark. It's not fucking cheap. I got a notice that was like, well, we rejected your trademark. And I was like, why? It was like, because somebody else trademarked the podcast launch pad. I was like, that's one word different. Fuck them. What? And I had been doing it 5 years before that podcast. And they're like, well, that's just what it is, you know, and it's a first come, first serve with when it comes to trademarks. And I was like, bullshit. So then what they don't tell you is the second you apply for a trademark, hundreds of lawyers start emailing and being like, hey, you pay me a boatload of money, I'll fight this case for you. My fee is $400 an hour, $1,000. You give me $3,000. I'm already $500 into this fucking thing. One guy sent me an email. It's like, hey, I've argued 100 of cases this way. This is how I would argue it. I would say this, and then I'd say this, and then you'd think I'd do this, but then I'm going to do that. And I was like, copy. And then I went to the trademark like response web page, and they were like, are you a lawyer? And I clicked no. And it's like, what is your argument? And I hit paste, control C, control V. And I was like, guys, that's the fucking, like, look, this is what somebody would argue if I paid it. And I also said, as a civilian who's doing a podcast, I shouldn't have to hire a goddamn lawyer to get a trademark. This is bullshit. And I sent it off and I was super pissed. And then like months later, they're like, congratulations, your trademark's been approved. It will be in this ledger. And if anybody says they don't like it, they'll fucking, then you'll have to.
All they have to do is copy and paste some other dickhead's email.
That's what I'm
because
saying.
Now, you fucker, we're gonna get sued because you just admitted that you used human AI. You plagiarized. Now
Well,
we're in trouble.
I'd like to think that I argued our case in a trademark court of law. I'm basically a lawyer now.
I say.
I do
I
believe.
I hope that half of our listeners email you tonight pretending to be lawyers for that other lawyer.
I'll never tell which one hit me up with the best advice ever.
Oh, he's listening, I'm sure. Don't you think? To get information for his case.
Right? I think we have a trademark now. So yeah, trademark approved. The Launchpad podcast. Now,
Oh my God.
all the other Launchpad podcasts on Apple Podcasts, watch out. I'm coming to sue your ass. Don't copy and paste any responses from lawyers you may receive.
You should be able to do that for any podcast that has Launchpad or podcast in the name, because you could just be the same thing. Well, we're the Launchpad podcast, but that's the Garbage Truck podcast. But it's just one word different.
I can't trademark the word podcast. That was very clear. It's the combination of the Launchpad podcast. I can't copyright Launchpad podcast. It's the Launchpad podcast. Those three words together is the trademark.
Well, that's technically our name. We never say Launchpad. I mean, if we're saying Launchpad podcast, it's because we're lazy. We say we are the Launchpad podcast.
The Launchpad podcast. Well, and it's also because the Launchpad podcast isn't on our Twitter handles, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Launchpad Pod. Don't sue us.
Ooh, yeah, who owns the pods?
Some fucking Keurig companies like sue these fuckers for talking about pods too much.
Got it, boss. I'll get right on it.
Oh my god. I'm gonna be coughing up black shit and boogies.
Racist.
I've been in a fire today. A controlled fire, but it was a fire nonetheless. We were even wearing masks, and the masks were like black when you took them off.
Racist.
It's crazy. Dude, I hurt from laughing and from smoke inhalation.
I hurt from being stuck in a cube and then climbing Mount Everest. Naked.
Naked.
I know you're tired because my jokes are not that complicated. They're not that deep, but there's been like a delayed reaction on your laughs tonight because I think your brain is trying real hard to process those things.
It's the internet. Your internet fucking sucks. Don't even worry about it.
If we had time, I would stand here for 3 seconds and not move, pretending like I was frozen.
I can't even still that long.
Very funny, humans.
Oh my god.
I want to say again one more time because I think it's really funny.
All right.
And then one gorilla picked up another gorilla, and then he hit 2 gorillas. Funny every time. I'm gonna get off this thing, and if Amanda's still awake, I'll be like, "Babe, we did this joke about AI."
That's my favorite thing. Is like when Kate's like, "How did the podcasting go?" I'm like, "Oh, I went so good," and I try to explain a joke. She's just like, but she'll then listen to it and be like, "Your podcast is really funny."
I got what you say.
Yeah, she's like, "I like listening to your podcast. It's really funny," and I'm like. But when I tell you the joke, it's like only if there's earbuds there, the joke's funnier. And she's like, no, you're really funny. I just don't want to give you the.
See, in my house, this is like the hooker that as long as I don't kiss her on the mouth, it's okay. Amanda's like, just don't tell me about it. Spit's like, oh, I almost got it. I almost got it.
Oh, it was like.
I'm definitely not kissing you after that.
If that was coming out my other end, I would have totally shit my pants. but
my mouth is stronger than my anus.
Undeniable.
Where? Where did we go? Like everyone's like, you guys should have ended this 17 minutes ago.
And they plug their socials. Now they're talking about shitting their pants.
Yeah.
Let me tell you
There's a
story.
robot somewhere listening to 10 hours of us, and he's like, I'm not repeating that.
Let me tell you a story about the first time I was on the set of American Family. The number one.
You've told that story before. It has a dirty, dirty ending.
It's the reason
Go
why
back and listen to the episode where Aaron throws his underwear in the garbage after.
it's the reason why I keep extra in my fucking set bag.
You only make a mistake once. Could be a big brown mistake, but it's going to happen once, and that's it.
Like, you can't leave work. You got to be there, man. You got to show up and do your fucking job.
The show must go on. Or don't show up and have a robot do your job.
Beep, bop, boop. Beep, bop, boop. Yeah, I dare you. All right, guys, this has been fucking hysterical. Oh, no, the AI is taking over. Hey, T800. He's a cutie. Oh, his eyes light up. Holy shit. Oh, wow. Wait, how is it moving? Are you doing it? Is there a lever on the back?
Oh, I think it's sentient.
Oh my gosh. Matt is showing off his Lego T800, and it is impressive. What a spectacle, man. That is
knockoff Lego T800, but yeah.
Don't say that. Lego's gonna come for you, dude. Wait,
They can't sue me. I have a copyright.
What is a knockoff Lego?
It's not Lego. It's building block. It's the same thing as Lego, but they're not. They don't say Legos. It's a
Do they
bootleg.
fit with Legos?
Yeah.
I mean, freaking cool. Anyway,
Lego doesn't make baller, almost life-size T800 busts, nor do they make lightsaber hilts, which I have a dozen of. What else did I just get? Oh, the face hugger. There's been a lot of knockoff Lego products on the show tonight. Tonight's episode sponsored by China Legos.
plagiarism in AI. What a weird episode. I don't know what I'm going to do for the social media. I'll just have AI figure it out, though.
Yeah. Just like, we talked about this. What would people want to hear?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, all over the place. But that's just I love it, dude. This
I
has been
laughed,
so
yeah.
fun. Yeah, I laughed. So somebody else did too. Anyway, follow us on social media. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Launchpad Pod. And our website, launchpadpod. Oh no, I can't even speak anymore. Launchpadpod.com.
Someone's like, I went to launchpadbot.com and I what? There's nothing here about.
They can't sue me over that copyright. Launchpadpod.com. Check us out on YouTube. And yeah, now trademarked. Only one thing left to do, Rumi. Let's blast this thing off.
Initiate, high five, blast off.
Pivot sequence activated. We're the Rocketeers, and we are out.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.